Okay, today we are going to solve Physics A2 9702, Paper 4, Variant 2. Topic is Gravitational Field and questions from 2014 to 2016. Okay, first question. It is from Paper 4, Variant 2, May June 14. The mass m of a spherical planet may be assumed to be a point mass at the center of the planet. A stone traveling at speed v in a circular orbit of radius r about the planet is as illustrated in figure 1.1. Okay, a stone is moving around a planet. Its velocity is v and is at a distance r from center of the planet. Okay, show that the speed v is given by the expression v is equal to under root g m over r, where g is the gravitational constant. Explain your working. Okay, this stone is moving around the planet, so it is experiencing a force that is called centripetal force, and this centripetal force is provided by gravitational force. So we can say gravitational force between the planet and the stone is equal to centripetal force. Now gravitational force is given as G capital M small m over r square, where this capital G is gravitational constant, this m is mass of the planet, this small m is mass of the stone, and r is the separation between them. Centripetal force is given as mv square over r, where m is mass of the stone, v is the velocity of the stone, and r is the separation between the stone and the planet. Okay, this small m will be cancelled out and we will get v square is equal to gm over r, and by taking square root on both sides we will get v is equal to under root gm over r under root gm over r. It is done. Okay, next part. A second stone initially at rest at infinity travels toward the planet as illustrated in figure 1.2. Okay, this is figure 1.2. A stone is moving towards the planet with a velocity v0 and is at a distance x from the center of the planet. Okay, the stone does not hit the surface of the planet. Determine in terms of the gravitational constant g and the mass m of the planet the speed v0 of the stone at a distance x from the center of the planet. Explain your working. You may assume that the gravitational attraction on the stone is due only to the planet. Okay, means it is an isolated system. Okay, this stone is moving towards the planet. It means its velocity is increasing. So its kinetic energy is increasing. So we can say its kinetic energy is increasing and gravitational potential energy is decreasing. So we can write gain in kinetic energy is equal to loss in gravitational potential energy. Now kinetic energy is given as half mv square. Now for the velocity, for the speed, we have taken v naught. So we have half mv naught square for kinetic energy. Now gravitational potential energy is given as G capital M small m over x. Here in our case, this capital M is mass of the planet, this small m is mass of the stone, and x is the separation between them. Okay, this mass of stone and mass of stone will be cancelled out and we will get V naught square is equal to 2gm over x, and by taking square root on both sides we will get V naught is equal to under root 2gm over x. Okay, next part. Use your answer in 1 and the expression in A to explain whether this stone could enter a circular orbit about the planet. Okay, here we have calculated two velocities. First velocity is here for the first stone that is moving around the planet. Okay, this is the velocity with which the stone is moving around the planet. And in the second case, it is asked that this stone this second stone here, it will enter the circular orbit or not? Okay, if the velocity of the second stone is more than the velocity of the first stone, then it will not enter a circular orbit. And if the velocity of the second stone is equal to or less than the velocity of the first stone, then it will enter into the circular orbit. Now here what we are looking, velocity of the second stone is v naught equal to under root 2 gm over x. For the first stone, we have calculated velocity gm over r. If the distance r is represented by x, if we say r equal to x, then velocity for the first stone is equal to gm over x. It means this under root gm over x is velocity of the first stone. So velocity of the second stone is equal to under root 2 times of the first stone. Under root 2 times of the velocity of the first stone. So velocity of the second stone is more than the velocity of the first stone. So second stone will not enter a circular orbit about the planet. Okay, what the answer you have to write? At x is equal to r, v naught velocity of the second stone is equal to under root 2 times of the velocity of first stone. Since velocity of the second stone is more than the velocity of the first stone, means v naught is greater than v at x is equal to r, the stone will not enter the circular orbit about the planet. Okay, next question. It is from October November 14, and same question is repeated in paper 4 variant 1 that I have already uploaded. I will give the link in the description below, so you can check from there. Now we will jump to the next question. Okay, next question is from May June 15. The Earth may be considered to be a uniform sphere of radius 6.37 into 10 power 3 km with its mass of 5.98 into 10 power 24 kg concentrated at its center. The Earth spins on its axis with a period of 24 hours. A stone of mass 2.5 kg rests on the Earth's surface at the equator. This one you have to remember, it is at the equator. It is the important point given here. Okay, calculate using Newton's law of gravitation the gravitational force on the stone. Okay, the first part is very simple. We have to calculate gravitational force. Gravitational force is given as g m1 m2 over r square. Now in place of m1 and m2 we have taken capital M and small m. This capital M is mass of Earth. This small m is mass of the stone. Okay, we have to substitute the values. This capital G, universal gravitational constant, is equal to 6.67 into 10 power negative 11. This mass of Earth, capital M, it is given 5.98 10 power 24. This small m, mass of stone 2.5 kg, given, divided by r square. R is the separation, distance between the stone and the Earth. Okay, this distance is also given, but the distance is in kilometer. We have to convert this kilometer into meters. To convert this kilometer into meter, we have to multiply this distance by 10 power 3. So we can say the distance in meters is equal to 6.37 into 10 power 3 into 10 power 3. In the formula it is square, so we have to take square, and by taking square and solving this value we will get the answer 24.6 Newton. Unit of force is Newton, so our answer is 24.6 Newton. Second question, second part. Okay, determine the force required to maintain the stone in its circular path. Okay, the object is moving in a circular path. It means it is experiencing a force that is called centripetal force. Okay, it is in a circular path because of centripetal force, and centripetal force is given as mr omega square. This is omega, mr omega square, where m is mass of the stone, r is the separation between stone and the center of the earth, omega is angular velocity of the stone. Angular velocity is equal to 2 pi over t, where this t is time period of the stone. Okay, now we have to substitute the values. This m, mass of the stone, it is 2.5 kg. This r is the separation. Separation is given 6.37 into 10 power 3 in kilometers. We have multiplied this one by 10 power 3, so that we can get this one in meters. So this distance is in meter now. Multiply by 2 pi whole square. 2 pi whole square means it is 4 pi square. Now divided by t square. This t is time period of the stone that is moving around the earth. And in the beginning of the question, it is given that the stone is at the equator. When an object is at the equator, it is called geostationary orbit or geostationary satellite. Geostationary orbit or geostationary satellite when it is at the equator or at the equatorial orbit. When an object is at the equator, its time period is exactly equal to time period of Earth. Time period of Earth is 24 hours. So the object that is moving around at the equator has a time period of 24 hours, same time period as of Earth. So here we can say time period of the stone is equal to time period of Earth because the stone is at the equator, and time period of Earth is 24 hours. So we have to take here 24 hours, but we have to take time in seconds. That's why we have to multiply this 24 by 60 into 60. Now it is t square. That's why we have taken square here. Now by solving this one, we will get the answer 0.0842 Newton. Centripetal force, it is force, and unit of force is Newton. So our answer is 0.0842 Newton. Okay, next part. The stone is now hung from a Newton meter. Use your answer in 1 to determine the reading on the meter. Give your answer to 3 significant figures. Okay, the stone is hung from the Newton meter. It means we have to calculate the resultant force. For resultant force, we have to subtract. We have to take the difference of the two forces that we have calculated. Means we have to take the difference of gravitational force and centripetal force. So we have subtracted centripetal force from the gravitational force and we got the answer 24.5 Newton. So the reading from the Newton meter or the resultant force is equal to 24.5 Newton. 24.5 Newton. Okay, next part, part B. A satellite is orbiting the Earth. For an astronaut in the satellite, his sensation of weight is caused by the contact force from his surroundings. The astronaut reports that he is weightless despite being in the Earth gravitational field. Suggest what is meant by the astronaut reporting that he is weightless. Okay, we have studied that when an object is moving around an object, suppose here this is a planet and this is sun. This planet is moving around the sun, so there is a force in between the sun and the planet, that is called gravitational force, and this gravitational force is providing centripetal force, and this centripetal force and gravitational force both are equal. Since both forces are equal, so their resultant will be equal to 0, and when the resultant will be equal to 0, there will be no net force, and when there will be no net force, so we can say that the weight will be 0, because weight is also a force with which Earth attracts everybody towards its center. Since the resultant of the force is 0, that's why we can say weight is equal to 0. Okay, what the answer we have to write here? Since satellite is orbiting Earth and and in an object, sorry, there is some mistake, and an object, not in, and an object in circular motion experiences centripetal force. Gravitational force provides centripetal force, and both forces are equal, and net result is 0. Therefore, the astronaut in the satellite reports weightless. Okay, next question. It is from October November 15, but the same question is also repeated in paper 4 variant 1 of October November 15 that I have already uploaded. I will give you the link in the description. You will check from there and we will move to the next question. Okay, this is from May June 16. A binary star, these are two stars, consist of two stars A and B. This is A, this is B, that orbits one another. This is a fixed point, and about this fixed point both the stars are rotating. Okay, the stars are in circular orbits with the center of both the orbits at point P. This is the fixed point. A distance d from the center of star A. This point P is at a distance d from this star A. Okay. Explain why the centripetal force acting on both stars has the same magnitude. Okay, centripetal force on the star A is equal to centripetal force on the star B. Why it is equal? Okay, we will read the answer here. Centripetal force is provided by gravitational force. According to Newton's third law of motion, force exerted by one body on another body is equal and in opposite direction exerted by second body on first body. And whatever the force A exert on the B, the same force will be exerted by B on A, but in opposite direction. Since both the forces are equal, so we can say the centripetal force on both the stars will be same or equal, because according to Newton's third law of third law of motion, the force exerted by the star A on B is equal to force exerted by the star B on the star A. Okay, we will move to the next part. The period of the orbit of the stars about the point P is 4 years. Calculate the angular speed omega of the stars. Okay, angular velocity omega is given as 2 pi over t, where t is the time period. Now 2 pi over t. T time period is given in years. It is 4 years. So time period is 4 years. 4 years. 4 years. 4 years. Okay. 4 years. Here is some small mistake. Okay. This year we have to convert into seconds. This year we have to convert into second. To convert this year into second, first we have to multiply this 4 by 365 days. We have to multiply this one by 365 days. Because in 1 year there is 365 days. So we will multiply 4 by 365. It will be converted in days. Now in 1 day there is 24 hours. So we will multiply this one by 24. Again we will multiply this one by 60. It will be converted in minutes. Then again we will multiply this one by 60. Then it will be converted in seconds. So here for the time period it is given 4 years. This 4 years we have to multiply by 365. Then we have to multiply this one by 24. Then we have to multiply this one by 60. Then multiply by 60. Then we will get the answer 4.98 into 10 power minus 8 radian per second. Okay. The angular velocity we have calculated, it is equal to 4.98 into 10 power minus 8 radian per second. Okay. Next part. The separation of the centers of the star is 2.8 into 10 power 8 kilometer. The separation of the center of the star. Separation of the center of the star means from this point to this point it is given 2.8 into 10 power 8 kilometer, and this one we have represented by r. Okay, this distance is d, and distance from point P to this point, it will be equal to this distance minus this distance, and d2 from this point to that point, it is represented by d2. d2 is equal to 2.8 into 10 power 8 minus d. Here I've multiplied this one by 10 power 3 because here it is in kilometer, but we have to take the distance in meter. That's why I multiplied this one by 10 power 3. So we can say d2 is equal to 2.8 into 10 power 8 into 10 power 3 minus d. Okay. We have to calculate the distance d. We have to calculate the distance d. Distance d means this distance we have to calculate that we have represented by d1. So we can say we have to calculate d1. Okay. We have noticed before that the centripetal force on A is equal to centripetal force on B. Now centripetal force is given as mr omega square. Here it is written m1 d1 omega square, where m1 is mass of the star A. This d1 is the distance of the star A from the fixed point. So in place of r, we have taken d1 because here in the question it is written d. It is distance is given in terms of d. That's why we have taken this one d1 and d2. Okay, the same thing for the star B. It is m2 d2 and omega square. Okay, velocity. For the velocity we have not taken 1 or 2 because the angular velocity of the star A will be equal to angular velocity of star B. Both stars will be moving with the same velocity. Okay, this velocity of star A is equal to velocity, angular velocity of star B. It will be cancelled out and we will get m1 d1 is equal to m2 d2, and by rearranging we will get m1 over m2 is equal to d2 over t1. Okay, this here it is written ma over mb. Okay, I have taken here m1 and m2. You can write here ma and mb. If you write here ma and mb, it will be db upon da. Okay, this ma over mb or m1 over m2 is equal to 3. We have taken here 3. Now d2 over d1. d2 over d1. This is d2. d2 is equal to this one 2.8 into 10 power 8 10 power 3 minus d, and this is d1, that is equal to small d. So this value we have to substitute here. Same value is substituted here, and from here we got 4d is equal to 2.8 into 10 power 8 and d is equal to 7 into 10 power 7 in kilometers. When we calculate this one, we will got the answer in meters. Then whatever the answer we will get, we have to divide this one by 10 power 3 and then we will get the answer in kilometer. So our answer is 7 into 10 power 7 kilometers. Okay, next part. Use your answer in A2 and B1 to determine the mass MB of the star. Okay. 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 We have studied that gravitational force is always equal to centripetal force when an object is moving in a circle. Gravitational force in between the two stars is given as g m1 m2 over r square, where m1 m1 is a mass of star A and m2 is mass of star B, and r is the separation between them. Centripetal force is given as mr omega square, but in the case of centripetal force, this r is the distance from the fixed point from the center to the star to the object that is moving around. Means for the centripetal force we have to take this distance, we have to consider this distance or this distance. If we are considering star A, then we have to take this distance. If we are considering star B, then we have to take this distance. Okay. Now we have the formula G m1 m2 over r square is equal to m1 d1 over into omega square. From this formula, what we are looking, this m1 will be cancelled out and we will get m2 is equal to d1 omega square r square over g. Now d1, already we have calculated this one. d1 is equal to this d. Yeah, d1 is equal to d. Okay, this d we have already calculated 7 into 10 power 7. 7 into 10 power 7 in kilometers. But we have to take in meters. So we have to multiply this one by 10 power 3. Now this is omega, angular velocity. We have already calculated 4.98 into 10 power minus 8. 4.98 into 10 power minus 8. This one we have already calculated. Okay, we have substituted this value. This is r. R is the total distance between the two stars. This is r. It is 2.8 into 10 power 8 kilometer. Again, it is in kilometer. We have to take in meters. So we have to multiply this one by 10 power 3. So value of r is equal to 2.8 into 10 power 8 into 10 power 3. Here it is square. We have to take square. Now here we have to divide this one by g. We have to divide this one by value of g, and value of g is 6.67 into 10 power negative 11. We have to write down the value of g 6.67 into 10 power negative 11, and by solving this one we will get the answer 2.04 into 10 power 29 kg. So the mass m2, or we can say mass of the star B, is equal to 2.04 into 10 power 29 kg. This value, when you will divide this value by 6.67 into 10 power negative 11, you will get this answer 2.04 into 10 power 29. It is from October-November 16. Define gravitational field strength. Okay, gravitational field strength, we come back. Gravitational field strength in gravitational field is defined as the force per unit mass acting on a small test mass placed at that point. Okay, next part, the nearest star to the Sun is Proxima Centauri. This star has a mass of 2.5 into 10 power 29 kg and is at a distance of 4 into 10 power 13 km from the Sun. The Sun has a mass of 2 into 10 power 30 kg. State why Proxima Centauri may be assumed to be point masses when viewed from the Sun. Actually, the distance in between the Sun and Centauri is equal to 4 into 10 power 13, and this distance is so large as when compared with their radius that their radius can be neglected. So we can say that the radius of the Sun and the star is so small that it can be neglected when it is compared with the separation between them. So this is the answer. Radius of the Sun and Proxima Centauri is very small as compared to their separation. calculate the gravitational field strength due to Proxima Centauri at the distance of 4 into 10 power 13 kilometer. Okay, very simple question. Gravitational field strength is given as gm over r square. Gravitational field strength is given as gm over r square. Okay, capital G is 6.67 into 10 power negative 11. It is gravitational constant. This m is mass of the star, because we have to find out the gravitational field strength near the Proxima Centauri. So we have to take mass of the Centauri. Mass of the Centauri is given 2.5 into 10 power 29. 2.5 into 10 power 29. Okay, the mass of the star. Okay. Okay. Now divide by r square. R. What is r? R is the separation between them. Between separation, or we have to calculate the gravitational field strength at a distance of 4 into 10 power 13 kilometer. So r equal to 4 into 10 power 13 kilometer. It is in kilometer. We have to convert into meter. So we have to multiply this one by 10 power 3. And in the formula it is square. So it will be square. And by solving this one, we will get the answer 1 into 10 power minus 14 Newton per kilogram. Okay, the gravitational force of attraction between the Sun and the Proxima Centauri. Okay, here we have to calculate the force of attraction between the Sun and the star Centauri. Okay, gravitational force is given as G m1 m2 over r square, where this G, capital G, is a universal gravitational constant and its value is 6.67 into 10 power negative 11. Now this m1, mass of Sun, 2 into 10 power 30, it is given. This m2, mass of Centauri, it is given 2.5 into 10 power 29, divided by r square. R is the separation, r is the distance between them, which is equal to 4 into 10 power 13. Where is, yeah, 4 into 10 power 13. Now this 4 into 10 power 13 we have to convert into meters. This is in kilometers. We have to convert this one in meter. So we have to multiply this one by 10 power 3. So our separation distance is equal to 4 into 10 power 13 into 10 power 3 in meters. Now we have to take square. We have taken square. Now we have to solve this one. By solving this one, we will get the answer 2 into 10 power 16 Newton. So the answer is 2 into 10 power 16 Newton. Now next part, suggest quantitatively why it may be assumed that the Sun is isolated in space from other stars. Force, value of force we have calculated 2 into 10 power 16. Okay, if the Sun is isolated, or we can just assume that if the Sun is isolated, it means it is not there is no force of any other star or planet on the Sun. And if there is no other force, then there will be no acceleration. So in other words, we can say that we have to find out the acceleration. If there is a significant figure of acceleration, then we can say that there is some other forces acting on the Sun. If the value of acceleration is nearly zero, then we can say that the Sun is isolated. It is not attracted by any other planet or any other star. Okay. So force is given as m into a, and a acceleration is equal to F over m, and we have substituted the value of force. Force we have calculated 2 into 10 power 16, and this m is mass of the Sun. We will divide this value by mass of the Sun, and we got the answer 1 into 10 power minus 14. Now this 1 power minus 14 in meter per second square, this is the value of the acceleration. and this acceleration is so small that it can be neglected, so we can say the value of acceleration is approximately 0. And since the acceleration is approximately 0, so we can say there is no resultant force, and we can say in other words that the sun is isolated in space from other stars. Okay, this is the end of the question. Okay friends, thank you very much.